Give me one game and I will change the way you look at your gunfights in Warzone. Because in today's video, we're going to dive deep into a 20+ kill game, talking about the strategies, the setup, the execution of how I win fights so that you can too. It's time to get good. Okay, as we get started here, make sure real quick, hit the like button, subscribe. Warzone is down so bad right now in terms of just overall interest in the game. Battlefield has come out. But I am sticking to my guns. I'm sticking to Warzone. I'm not switching to Battlefield. I personally enjoy Warzone more. I see a better future for me, my business, my content in Warzone. So I just want to let you guys know I'm not going anywhere. Also, I've had some feedback on the videos that I have been taking a little bit longer than you guys like. So we're going to skip ahead through this early game a little bit because it is dead. One thing I do want to point out, though, when we talk about the setup for gunfights, I think that's one of the most important things is how you set yourself up for gunfights. And you're going to see, I'm going to point out at a lot of points in this video where I set myself for a gunfight that doesn't even happen. And that's just because I'm playing defense. I'm making sure that I'm on my stuff. It's awareness, right? One of the quickest ways to die in Warzone is just get landed on. And the quickest way to counteract that is to land on a gun, look up to the sky. Immediately. Land on a gun, look up to the sky, then go get your contract.
Targets are up.
But I am going to skip a little bit ahead here because we kind of speed through this contract. We end up getting loadout down super quick. But as I'm getting loadout down, we hear a snipe. You actually saw the glint right there. So I heard the snipe, didn't really recognize the glint on my first turn. Luckily, I get a little lucky here. Get a little bit lucky here. I back up just at the perfect time where this guy's shooting me. Now I know exactly where this guy's at. This gunfight isn't too crazy. It's literally just about centering, flicking, hitting shots. Now, I actually decide this isn't a fight that I want to take, and the reason I do that is if we look up here, he's on what I call towers. There's other words for it, but towers. This is basically a dead gunfight, in my opinion. Yes, I could push over here and try to fight this guy, but more likely than not, in my experience, I've found that when people are on these weird buildings, they'll just hit the zip line and go to the top of the building, and all of a sudden it becomes this super long, drawn-out thing. One of my rules for 1v1s is get it over with as soon as possible. And because we already got our loadout down, we're in the mid-game phase now, I want to start chaining together contracts. Wasting a bunch of time on this one kill is not worth it. Now, you're going to see me grab this car, and I am going to quickly head over here because both of those players are down below me, so I know they're on the ground, and that's a little bit of a quicker, easier fight for me. So that's my thought process there. Basically, just, I don't want to waste my time with that guy. It's going to take too long. Skip a little bit ahead here. Tried throwing on the trophy system. Sometimes those suckers just bounce off for whatever reason. Now, as we're pushing in here, right, we saw a gunfight, two guys fighting in here, right? And so I need to make sure that I'm prepared for him to be here or for him to be here. I'm going to slide out with good centering here, anticipating him to be where I last saw them. And then my eyes immediately go to here as well. I don't see either of them. I don't hear anything. And so right away, I'm just like, I'm going to get out of here. Again, trying not to waste time on these gunfights don't really get me anything. In my opinion, starting the early game a little bit slower and doing more contracts pays off a lot more later in the game, right? I'd rather sink a little bit of time into doing some contracts early because that pays off way later in the game with UAVs, cash flow, all that good stuff. Another gunfight that I'm going to avoid. This is a little bit of a different kind of weird game where it's a little bit slow in the beginning and in the middle, but speeds up a ton towards the end. So make sure you stick around for that. I'm not just saying that so you watch the video. This game's just a little bit slower.
Your objective's simple. Eliminate all bounties.
Not much to talk about with this gunfight because it's not even a gunfight. Not even a gunfight. But this one is very important, okay? So I want to point this out. The fundamentals for gunfights are get first shots, track better. But a lot of gunfights start way, way, way before you think they're actually starting. And so one way to improve your gunfights is if you are watching back your games or you're thinking about your deaths, think about what you could have done much earlier to set yourself up. And so what I mean by that is, obviously you picked up that bounty contract, right? We see the bounty is kind of out in the middle between fire station and pool, right? He's sort of out in the middle. So that means he's either, it kind of leans towards the left, but that means he's either on the roof of pool or he's rotating over to fire station. Now, the reason I point that out and the reason that's important is because if he gets to fire station before me, what can he do? He can rotate up, right? And so as we're driving over here, we see him rotating over to fire station. the longer I take to get to fire station, the more likely it is for him to get up this. And anybody knows, like, when someone's up top there, it's unless you have a precision airstrike, it's really hard to get that kill. And so basically all that's to say, give yourself good timing, good setup. I immediately drive over here, put myself on the ladder. What is this guy gonna do, right? We saw him running left to right towards the front of fire station. Where is he most likely to come from? Right here. And so I just center my crosshair. One thing I do want to point out though, watch my left thumbstick here. Watch my left thumbstick. Look what I do. I'm gonna circle it actually. Shoot. Habit. Sorry. Notice how I moved my left thumbstick into or back into the wall. What that allows me to do is get more rotational aim assist. If you guys don't know, moving your left stick gives you more aim assist. I've talked about this a million times. But one thing that I try to implement into my game is not just moving my left stick, but strategically moving my left stick. Now, if I move my left stick forward or to the right in this situation, I'm just moving. But if I move it to the left against this wall or backwards into the wall behind me, now I'm not moving, but I'm actually getting the benefits of rotational aim assist. Because if you're moving while you're trying to track, it's harder. If you're not moving while you're trying to track, it's easier. Nothing crazy about that. That was just having a little bit of awareness, looking at our minimap, putting ourselves in a good position, not letting him do the easy thing, which is go up the ladder. I'll skip ahead here. I've gotten super early in the game before anybody even has their loadout down, probably. I already have 2 contracts done. I've gotten 2 kills. We're off to a really good start here. But I am going to go ahead and do another contract. We're trying to scale, like I said, we're trying to scale all these contracts for later in the game when we have a ton of cash. And the really important thing that I want to point out here is pay attention to my bounty contract. This is why it's important to ping things, because when they go away, you know someone grabbed it, whether it's a car or a contract. You see right there, my ping is no longer there. So now I know that where my contract was, I honestly don't really remember where it was, but at the time in the game, I knew where it was, right? So now I know that's a piece of information. There's a player over there. I need to be a little bit careful. But I just go ahead and ping a contract that's near it. I do have to think about this as I'm driving over, though. Doesn't end up panning out. The guy they grabbed the contract from earlier ends up shooting us, sniping us, hits a decent shot, and our bounty contract pulls over to the car dealership, but then it gets poached. So I think this is one of those games where I grab a couple contracts and they get poached a bunch, but I keep doing them. I'm just trying to get my cash flow up. Pay attention right there, really quickly on the minimap. We got a guy on top of Big Red. He's, you know, shooting. So he's looking to the right and he's shooting. Okay, so I'm just pointing that out because that comes into play here in a second.
Bounty contract here.
Information is everything. Information is how you get setup. Setup is how you get centering. Centering is how you get first shots. So as I'm driving over here, I'm keeping my eyes peeled on top of this roof, right?
Reload.
Unfortunately, there's like a weird reload bug going on right now. So I got out of the car. I had to reload my AR. It gave me weird timing. So I just pull out the SMG. Now, information. This guy that we just killed was shooting and looking which direction, right? The arrow was like this. He was shooting and looking this direction. And so even me watching this back, what you're about to see, I was like, how did I know that guy was there? But then I kind of backed up a little bit. I was just aware that someone was looking this direction, right? I didn't know if there was somebody here, but I was like, if there is someone around me, they're probably this direction because there was a guy on the roof shooting this way. And so as I'm driving, I'm just third person peeking and making sure I see things. And as I'm pulling up this way, if we look really closely here, I know it's hard to see because of the night mode, but this guy's getting out of the window. So he sees my car going left, I get out, come right. We talk about it in the last couple videos, misdirection. Centering my crosshair where I'm most likely to see this guy, right? He hopped out of the window. And now he went this way. So I know that he's on the other side of this building or inside here, right? And so I'm just centering my crosshair where I'm most likely to see this guy. Now, he actually does a really smart thing of throwing his care package down. Like, this was honestly a, you know, a 200 IQ play here for him to throw this, because for the average person that didn't see him come out of the window, that's going to be a distraction, right? Like, he probably doesn't know that I saw him come out of that window, to be honest with you. A little bit of missed shots there. My flick was a little bit off. Honestly, also wasn't anticipating him to reach out that. I was actually going to run through the door right there. I was going to run through the door and try to cut him off, but then he reach-outs. Just quick reaction there. Nothing really that crazy to break down. But I just wanted to point out that, like, the information of me seeing the guy on top of Big Red gave me the awareness to keep my eyes on the right. I didn't know that guy was there, but just because I had the awareness, I was like, maybe I should probably check this way as I'm driving. That's how that played out. All right, moving on here. Skip a little bit ahead. We're trying to grab contracts. They keep getting poached. Grab a UAV. I could have popped one and bought one here, but because of the zone, I was like, there's probably not that many people here. I actually failed getting this contract because of the gas. I was trying to get good timing. Again, I'm going to skip a little bit ahead through this because this early / mid game is a little bit slower. Heats up a lot towards the end. All right, so now we've got our contract finally. It gets poached again. Like, it's just one of those games where I'm trying to do all the right things, but stuff gets poached. Because I just grabbed a bounty, and for like the second or third time, my bounty just got poached. I'm like, all right, I gotta do something here. I'm sick of just grabbing these contracts and driving around. There's no more bounties around me. I'm just gonna pop this. Just gonna pop this because I know there's someone rotating out, and I just want to get the free kill. Keep the ball rolling here. That was just a simple read. I knew there was going to be somebody here, but I didn't know exactly where. And I talk about in my videos, use your UAV to do multiple things. Don't just use the UAV for one kill. So the second I get out of that gunfight, we're looking at the map. We got 2 people towers, 1 over here. We got loadout drop in. So I know there's 3 people around me. There's nobody rotating out this way. There's nobody rotating out this way. I ping one, and I'm memorizing the other. I think I actually end up grabbing my A attachment AR here. Giving myself live information. Now I know that that guy's inside of the trailer up there, right? You can sort of see it. You can sort of barely see it fading away there. That this guy's inside that building. Sorry, I forgot to zoom out there. My bad. Now, from this guy's perspective, I don't have a UAV up anymore, right? Imagine what this guy's gonna think. I don't have a UAV. I don't know this guy's here in his mind. And so a car just pulls up. He doesn't know I have a heartbeat. Somebody just throws a grenade at him. And then jumps through the window and knows exactly where he is. This is why not everyone's cheating. Obviously, this guy's a bot. He's just laying down on a corner. But this is why everyone's not cheating. I had a UAV from way earlier. He doesn't know I have a heartbeat. Just remembering a little bit of that information. Free kill. Grab the trophy for my car. And I actually ended up hearing shots over by antenna, I think. I either saw something over at antenna or heard something over at antenna. I can't remember. I'd have to back it up a little bit. It was like a loadout drop or some shots or something. I'm pretty sure I ended up driving over this direction. Yep. Oh yeah, that's right. Someone was doing the search and destroy contract. Nobody's perfect. I forget the plate too. So, because there's a search and destroy contract, someone had to have done this contract to blow this up. As I'm driving over here, we're paying attention. I want to back it up a little bit. I think I actually see the guy. Yeah, we see him right here. Got the guy moving right here. And so now I know he's relatively at the front of this. He's probably going to see my car. I jump out, center my crosshair where I'm most likely to see him. I was anticipating him, seeing the car come out and try to chow me here, but he didn't. I hear one little footstep to the left. I thought maybe he was getting underneath. He doesn't. And so I just slide out with good centering. Bada bing, bada bang. So as we were driving up, or even before that, this is like, just goes to show how early these things start. I saw somebody doing the search and destroy contract. It's very obvious that someone has to do that contract if it blew up. He might still be there. And so when I drove by, I was like checking visually. Then I see him. I confirmed that I see him. And then I just played good centering, get first shots track better. So, we're pretty deep into this game. I've tried to grab, I think, 3 bounty contracts at this point. And so, I just end up grabbing another contract just to try and get my money up a little bit. I also don't have a self-res. And so, when I don't have bounties, I either do a recon or a supply run. Usually I'll do the supply run if I don't have a self-res, just because the self-res is free. Save myself a little bit of money. Also pinging, what I'm going to do next. Skip a little bit ahead here. I tried shooting a guy out of the sky. He's too far away. Finish the contract, get a scav. Or not a scav, get our self-res. Pop some plates. And now I'm looking to go do my bounty. But because remember earlier I pinged that bounty, now it's gone. That tells me that there's people over here, right? And so if I'm going to use my UAV, I want to use my UAV in a place that I think there are people. Could there be people here? Maybe. Could there be people here? Maybe. Is there someone here? Yes. But is there anyone nearby? No. And so that kind of narrows it down to, hey, I'm most likely to see the most amount of people over here because I haven't been over here, right? So I'm just setting myself up to find. You can kind of see I'm looking at the map, driving around a little bit, processing what I want to do, and then I just decide, okay, I know someone grabbed a bounty over here. Let me come over here and pop my UAV. I actually got into a fight with someone at the tower of this too. You guys didn't see that because I skipped ahead. All right, so I come over here, pop my UAV. Now we have the concrete information. Drive up to this guy. I don't know what he was doing. Just get out. I thought he was AFK. That's kind of why I pulled up like that, because I thought he was AFK. Everybody's on Battlefield right now, so I know some of you guys are going to be like, oh, about Lobby. I'm just playing what the game's giving me. All right. Also, let me know in the comments, are you guys more interested in seeing Rebirth content or Resurgence content or Battle Royale content? I personally enjoy Battle Royale more, but it's a little bit harder to get Battle Royale content, to be honest, because the lobbies aren't filling in solos. All right, so we shot this guy. We saw him run into this building. So all I do is drive over to where I know he last was, use my heartbeat sensor to figure out exactly where he is, right? And then I just go through the door, I back out, right? Basically just shouldering. All I'm trying to do here is get visual confirmation of where this guy is so that I can chow aggressively with good centering, right? We're setting ourselves up because we had the information from way earlier, right? We popped a UAV. I got shots on the guy, saw him run inside, so I put myself near the building, used the heartbeat to figure out exactly where he is, bust through the door to visually confirm exactly precisely where he is, and then I just play aggressive. Nothing crazy.
Reloaded.
A couple bots earlier on / through the mid game, but the end game is really strong. I was really happy with the way I played the end game. I thought about making this video more of like an end game focused video, but decided to go with what we titled this video anyways. All right, so popped our UAV. We got one guy over here, and one over here. Now, I wanted to come over to this guy because he was ghosted. Ghosted normally means they have, or ghosted means they're more likely to have specialist. That's where I wanted to come. You can sort of see me pinging stuff. Ultimately, just decide to grab this guy that's out here, and then I know that I can come back over to green ping later.
Moving here.
I was a little bit closer to this side. Of the map. I know this guy's all by himself. I'm just going to come quickly kill this guy and then go back over there. All right, so setup. We have the UAV. I see the guy on the roof right here, right? I'm going to make myself a hard target. Kind of swerving my car around. He doesn't have a sniper. I'm using the right side of my car. To block, any kind of shots that he's going to put on me. Now, where should you take this gunfight from, right? We know he's on the roof. Do we want to go inside here? You could argue that, like, yeah, maybe we bait him into coming down the ladder. But what I was thinking here is I can't take the gunfight from right here because I'm on low ground. I really don't want to take it from here because I'm going to be inside the building. It's going to be on low ground. But I can put myself up on this little ledge and have, decent shots at this guy. I'm just giving myself the best opportunity here. Play the car. First shots track better. Nothing crazy. We're going to skip a little bit ahead here. Come over here to grab a big game bounty. Big game bounty is going to give us the advanced UAV. Obviously, we're completing a contract. This is also going to take us to a player that has a lot of kills. That's a big game bounties pull on players that have a lot of kills. So we're going to get a good player out, get a contract done, get the advanced UAV for completing it, get a bunch of cash. If you're trying to get better, you should not be scared of doing big game bounties. You should be trying to do as many big game bounties as you can. That's a really good rep against a good player. And then you'll know that it's a good player, right? So I just drive straight over here. As I'm driving across the bridge, I just try to swerve a little bit, make myself a hard target. I honestly didn't... this doesn't play out the way I would have liked it to. And it's because I didn't anticipate... There ends up being there ends up being 3 people here, and I was not anticipating that 3 people would be over in this tiny little spot. So I was kind of playing this as if there was 1 guy, and then there ends up being 3. Honestly, forgot I had the trophy system there. I saw him going to throw something. It's good shots on me. I immediately throw my smoke. Just play a little bit of defense here. Smoke, played up. The guy is on the left, shoots my guy. My bounty ends up getting poached, but I noticed that this guy, if we look up at the map, I noticed this guy's on the outside of the building. He's still shooting at this guy, right?
Primary objective
So I just slide out with good centering. So I get first shots. I see him run behind the building. He's on the outside of the building behind it. And so what I want to do here is grab this guy's power position before he can, or at least cut him off as he's trying to grab it. And so I just immediately pull out my SMG, get really close, get inside this building. Now this building's mine, right? I've immediately created an advantage for myself because I've taken the building. He's on the outside. If he wants to kill me, he has to push in, right? So that's immediately turning a 50-50 into, like, let's say a 55-45 or a 60-40. Now from here, I just listen. I hear grass footsteps going to the right. I get first shots. I immediately just play aggressive. Now, get out of the gunfight. What is this guy up here going to think, right? The guy in the tower is going to see some guy just got killed here. He's hearing more gunshots over here, right? The guy in the tower is going to think, oh, I'm going to look over here, right? And so I just immediately slide out, center my crosshair where I'm most likely to see the guy. Once he's not there, played up.
Change your max.
Okay, so now, how do I get this guy out? How do I get this guy out? Also, somebody popped a cluster over here, so it ends up being another person. But how do I get this guy out? The best way at Fire Station, if you have the cash for it, is a precision airstrike. But one thing I want to point out, when you hit the precision airstrike, they're going to get a notification. I'd say 50% of the time, you're probably just going to kill the guy, and 50% of the time, they're going to jump down. Where can this guy jump down? He can jump down the ladder, and he can jump outside of one of the windows. And so worst case scenario for me is he jumps down the ladder, because now he still maintains, you know, being inside the power position. If he jumps outside of the building, that's fine. I can protect my power position, but what I want to point out is trying to get good timing on this. This is going to come into play later, because you'll see. This is going to come into play later. This is one of those cases where the guy just sticks. But had he jumped down, I would have had better timing. All right, so cluster strike guy over here. Shot me as I was pushing in. Put shots on him. I know he's got to back up and plate, and so I can just jump down here. I'm thinking a little bit about my endgame checklist right now. I pop a UAV and then grab another cluster and hit all the items on my endgame checklist, right? We hit bounty, plates, gas mask. Obviously, we have specialists. That's not part of the checklist. We got smokes, munitions, cluster. That's all the tools that I like to go into every endgame with. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get another contract done, and so I pop a UAV and then hold my cluster. That way I have all my stuff for the late game in case I can't hit the buy later. Now I know there's a guy over here. It says he's below me. So I know I don't really have to worry about him right now, but I still want to make sure I have good centering, right? If this guy quickly runs up the stairs, I want to make sure I'm ready for it, and so my crosshair is here. But I'm not anticipating him running out. Jumping to cover up my audio a little bit.
The enemy lost track of you. Good work.
I wasn't sure based on audio cues if he was running up or down, but I wanted to make sure I was playing this smart, right? Like I just didn't want to chicken with my head cut off, run down these stairs and get caught in attack sprint. I was making sure I was centering, clearing the angle, jumping down, centering, clearing the angle, jumping down.
Mission timeline expired. UAV.
He ends up jumping down away from me. I'm not going to chase that, right? And so now we got 2 here, 2 here, 2 here.
In the AO.
Trying to remember all the information I can. I have the green ping over there telling me that there's 2 players over there.
Got a vehicle here.
I want to maintain my vehicle. So I actually end up just grabbing a vehicle here. But as I'm getting in my car here, some guy comes back from the gulag. Wasn't able to get the full kill. I did break his plates. And so we're going to try and do the same thing we did earlier. Throw in an impact grenade in case I get lucky. Sometimes, you know, I broke his plates. Maybe I'll get lucky there. We talked earlier about the first time this guy did this. Pop the precision. You need to play as fast as you can and don't let him jump down the ladder, right? Don't let him jump down the ladder. Don't give him good timing. You want to make sure you box him out of his power position, right? The whole goal is to make him jump away from his building when you pop the precision, right? Because we can't fight that. There's nothing I can do besides pop the precision. Now, the mistake I make here is I pop the precision and then look down on the ground to grab my cluster for late game. But that gave me, that little like half second to full second gives me terrible timing in this gunfight right here. Terrible timing, right? If I would have not looked down at the ground there and hesitated and paused, if I just would have popped the precision and played aggressive and fast, I would have caught much better timing here, and I would have won this gunfight.
How the fuck did you get guns, bro?
Is what it is. Is what it is. Guy didn't even hit that great of shots. Just got good timing. I didn't anticipate him to have guns either, and so that's a mistake on my part.
Your last chance.
A mistake on my part. Skip a little bit ahead here. Gulag takes a while. So the lesson there is timing is everything. You can make a good decision. You can pop the precision on the guy. He can jump down. He can do exactly what you wanted him to do. But if you don't follow it up with good timing, if you don't set yourself up right, it doesn't matter. Gulag strat, same as all the time. Centering where I think he's most likely to pop up. I hear him walking around on my left. So I slide out left, free fire a little bit. He's not left. Center, middle. Got him right where I want him. Notice how my crosshair, I'm going to back it up just a second here. Notice how my crosshair was either always here, always here, always here, or always here. The Gulag is very simple. You need to worry about 4 angles. You literally just need to put your crosshair here, 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 or here. And if you can eliminate 2 or 3 of those angles, it makes the Gulag is actually so simple. When you think about it like this, you just need to worry about those 4 angles. I'm not doing anything else besides that. Okay, so we won our Gulag. We're right back into it. We're in the regain phase. I'm going to back it up just a smidgen here. Let me see if I look at the map again, actually. So we're in the late game. We're regaining. If I just land somewhere random right now, the chances of me winning the game are pretty low, right? If I want to get back into the game as soon as possible, which is the goal of the regain phase, I need to get back to my guns. Now, am I gonna be able to safely grab my guns in the bottom of fire station? 50-50. It's up in the air. He's probably, like, more likely than not, he's probably back up at the top of that tower or on the buy station. And so me being able to get my guns is pretty risky, but just by remembering information from earlier, what else can we do? We killed a guy down here. So there are guns down right here. I can not only get myself back into the game pretty quick by grabbing this guy's stuff, I also have a piece of cover in between me and him. And so right away, I turn, like, the difference in these 2 decisions, right? So let's say option A and option B. Option A is very risky for a good reward, right? Option B is less risky for the exact same reward. As long as I'm comfortable grabbing that guy's gun and getting into this fight as soon as possible, I'm fine. And so this is a piece of setup that not a lot of people think about. Like, yes, sometimes you want to land back in your guns, but if there's a better option, land on this guy's guns. C9 kilo. This is exactly what I'm using here. Now, one thing that I probably could have done differently there is grabbed kilo and immediately looked up at the tower. Now, there's a good chance that this guy heard me do this, right? He probably heard the parachute. He might have heard me running around down here. He's definitely going to hear me running through this house. I know that I would. If I'm putting myself in his shoes, I know that I would. And so I immediately come to this ladder. I'm figuring out where this guy's at. I clear this. I clear this and this. Now all I have to worry about is like this, and this. You guys probably aren't going to be able to hear it on YouTube, but I hear him running around on concrete. Again, you're probably not gonna be able to hear it, but I hear him running around on concrete, and so that right away eliminates this angle. Now, if I hear ladder, honestly, if I heard him climbing ladder here, I don't know what I would do. I would probably just bail out of this fight. But because I don't, I want to try and kill this guy and get my stuff back, right? Like, I have specialists. And so you'll see me do this a lot. You'll see me do that kind of thing a lot, where I'll just, like, try to do something that causes noise, because a lot of times it's like Pop Goes the Weasel. You make a noise that they don't really know. They're not quite sure. They're going to come check. They're going to get curious. A lot of times you can make people curious and get a free kill if you can just make some sort of noise. But the key to that is I don't want to give away my position. So the reason I say that is, like, yes, I could have shot, but that would have been very obvious, and it would have popped me on his radar. So just by throwing the Molotov, I don't know for sure if he heard the Molotov, but just by throwing that and doing stuff like that, sometimes you can make people pop up. All right. So we've got the kill. I basically cleared out this whole area. I want to make sure I slowed down a little bit here to make sure that I got all of my items, right? I get my loadout back. I want to make sure that I get my perks back. The last two pieces are my smokes. My smokes and my impacts, right? So I'm looking for those right now. Grab my impacts. The only thing I need now is my smokes. Cool. Now we're back into the game. We got everything we need. I didn't have enough money for a self-res, so not going to do that. Now what?
Gas is closing in.
Now what? We're in the end game phase for sure here. We're in the end game. We're in the end game phase for sure here, right? And so I'm looking at the map, trying to figure out exactly what I want to do. I'm gonna ask you, what would you do in this scenario? What is the position on this map that is going to give you the best odds for the next circle? That's what we need to be thinking about. Is just maximizing our odds. We don't know exactly what this circle is going to do, right? We just don't know what it's going to do. You can guess, right? Like we could probably guess that the circle is going to do roughly something like that, right? And then maybe it'll pull one direction or favor one direction. But roughly, this is going to be the area where the next circle is. What is the best position in this next circle? Just hear me out. The best position in this next circle would be the roof of this building or on these cliffs, right? And so I'm thinking, what right now gives me the best position now to access that later on? And this is a pretty obvious one. It's just grab this right. Right, that's all it is. But if you remember back from earlier, there was one person like over here, one person over here. So that means there could be two people here. And then we know there was one here and there was one over here, just based on our UAV from a little bit earlier. And so I am going to have to risk driving across this dam. And that was something I considered, right? Like maybe I just go bite the bullet now and go grab that roof. But I would rather have the high ground and not need it than need it and not have it. That was sort of my thinking here. All the stuff that I'm kind of breaking down, analyzing in my head. Pretty solid end game. I'm not gonna lie. Now I grabbed this car over the other one because it's healthier. And I also remembered earlier that there was a trophy system. So I stopped for that because I'm driving across a very predictable bridge. I don't want to get RPG'd here. Throw that down. Make sure I grab my mini. So now I just need to make sure that I grab one of those buildings, right? My whole goal here is to get into one of these buildings and just hunker down and wait for the next zone. I'm just entirely playing for positioning here. Now, if there are kills available, I'm going to take them. Trying to decide exactly what building I want to go to as I was looking at my map here. Honestly, hindsight, probably shouldn't have done this. I was anticipating this guy trying to shoot me. And so not only was I switching seats here to avoid him shooting the driver, right? But I was also trying to, quickly kill this guy as I drove through here. But then it just ends up being awkward. I get weird timing on it. This could have very easily gotten me killed. But I was anticipating him doing something else. I got sniped from behind. Get back into my car. Now we're just trying to grab this building. Now, as I'm trying to grab this building, pay attention to what happens here. This is one of the most classic situations in Warzone. You're trying to do something, you're trying to push some area, and you're getting shot at by some other guy, right? So this yellow building, if I back it up a second here, this yellow building is one of the most common buildings in Warzone. I'm going to break down exactly how to push a building fight, okay? So as we're driving up here, we got this guy shooting at us from the window. Now we know exactly where he's at, right? Like we have the awareness, we have the positioning of this guy. Now it's about setup, right? We know he's in that building, right? What are his two options? If he got damage on me, there's a decent chance he would have pushed me, right? But because he didn't do that, he's either going to sit in that building in the exact same window, or he's going to push me, okay? And so all I'm thinking right now is get myself safe, get into an equal power position. As I'm pushing up here, I'm multitasking, making sure that I'm clearing out this building a little bit. But I know this guy knows where I'm at, right? Like he saw my car get out here. He heard me break the glass. He probably hears me running around inside this. It's very obvious where both of us are. There's no hiding my audio. There's no hiding my position. We both know where each other are. So what do I need to do when I check this window? If I want to check this window, what do I need to do? I need to clear each angle one by one. I can't just full run up to this window and stand right here, right? I need to do what's called shouldering, which is going to allow me to quickly peek without taking damage and allow me to see where this guy is. So you're going to kind of see me slide up. I'm going to quickly go left, and then you're going to see me go back right. all that did right there in that fraction of a second was tell me he's not in this window, he's not in this window, he's not in this window. Right? So I've already immediately cleared 3 of like the 7 angles that this guy can shoot me from. Now I'm going to peek the next angle. Now I'm going to peek the next angle. Now he hasn't, he gave up a power position, right? Like, I don't want to say a power position, but he gave up first shots. The fundamentals of any gunfight are get first shots, track better. And so just by this guy not defending his power position, what he should have been doing is hitting a different window and pre-aiming where I'm most likely to show up. That was his mistake, but I'm going to punish it, right? So if he's not going to check it, I'm going to make sure that I give myself first shots by holding a pre-aim angle. Where's this guy most likely to show up? Right here. And so that's where I put my crosshair. I end up being right. Now the very, 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 very important part about this, when you're talking about pushing a building, when you get a plate break, right? When you break someone's plates, you need to put your foot on their throat. You need to play very, very, very fast. We talked about when I was pushing the guy at Fire Station earlier, how that 1 to 2 seconds of hesitation got me killed. In this case, I was like, I'm not making that mistake again. I got this guy broke. Immediately get out, pull my SMG out, get inside this building. I hear wooden footsteps to my right over here, and so now I know exactly where this guy is. He's probably plating. He doesn't have his gun up. I want to play very fast. Slide across. He's aiming this way. I thought he was going to run through, and I didn't mean to throw the impact grenade, but I did. Slide back across his camera, slide back through, break his camera, start with hip fire. Didn't even have to aim in at this guy. Just by playing very fast and clearing angles, getting first shots, tracking better, you can win these building fights so easy. All right. So now we're on to positioning, right? Let's look up at the zone. What are my threats right now? Right? Like I've done a really good job of taking the best position in the zone. What are my threats? My threats are someone rotating this way, like I just did, or rotating this way. And then also maybe if someone's on the lower part of the cliff. But the point is I just need to make sure that I'm aware of where people are going to come from and how I can protect myself from it. That's what I'm thinking about. So I'm checking windows, just trying to see if there's somebody pushing up on me. The angle that I'm probably most worried about is this one, where the guy, a guy is rotating from over here and then rotates up to my cliff. So that's kind of what I focused on the most. That's what I focused on the most here. But the point is I'm doing what, think about what I'm doing versus what the guy that was originally holding this building wasn't doing. Like, I'm checking all the windows. I'm holding all the angles. I'm making sure that I'm not giving up my power position for free here. If you're going to hold a building, you need to make sure you're defending it. Don't just sit in a corner with claymores or spring mines. Figure out where people could possibly be coming from. All right. So, zone polls, we talked about earlier. This was probably, roughly, this is what we thought the zone was going to do. Now, this is one of those cases where it doesn't do exactly what we thought it was going to do, but we're still in a good position, right? We gave ourselves the best chance. Now what do I need to do? What would you do in this situation? Where do you want to be? What position in this next circle is going to give us the best odds for the next circle? In my mind, it's here, here, or here. Now, I'm going to end up choosing this position. And the reason I do that is because I like to think, like, yes, you want to take a building, but you also want to be able to defend that building. And this building is so small. There's a car already on it, right? In my mind, this building is not only hard to defend, but hard to take at this point. And so I know that because I have a little bit of cliffage here, right? If you ever are in an open area, like say this was the circle, you want to look at these little pieces of terrain, right? Because those are little cliffs. Those are little pieces of things that you can use to defend yourself. And so because I see a lot of that right here, I just want to pull my car up and put myself right here. Now, what that's also going to do is keep everything in front of me, right? So once the zone closes and I'm here, right? Everything beyond this line is all I have to worry about. And so by putting myself on the edge of the zone, I'm immediately cutting off 50% of what I have to worry about. Whereas like if I'm right here, I have to worry about everything that's around me. I have to worry about a 360. I have to worry 360 degrees around me. I have to worry about that. And so, yes, sometimes buildings are good. Yes, sometimes high ground is good. But can you defend it well? That's something you need to think about in the end game as well. And one quick pro tip, if you guys don't know, you can ping, and that'll tell you exactly where the line is visually on your screen, right? Now I know that I just need to get to that ping and I'm safe. Once you get closer, you'll kind of understand why that's important, because it'll tell you like exactly where the gas is going to stop, which sometimes can make the difference. Want to point out there's a guy out there. So from here, I'm not really worried about kills. I'm just playing for positioning entirely here. Thought I heard some snow footsteps in front of me. I definitely did hear snow footsteps in front of me, and you can also see loot right here, but I don't end up finding that guy. I get high alert from Specialist. Now I know that there's a guy here, and possibly a guy in the snow, right? So that's 3 out of the 6 people left. So endgame is all about positioning. If you can get kills, cool, but we want to focus on positioning. So right now, all I'm trying to do is figure out what's the best position, which I've already done, and then also where are the rest of the people in this game. Because if I give myself the best position, I have all my endgame checklist tools, and I know where everyone is, like, that is infinitely better than just going into the endgame and finding a bush and winging it. You know what I'm saying? These are all like the little things that you guys need to do to set yourself up for success. I didn't know there was a guy here, but I just figured because that fence line is really good and there's a building there.
Your squad's in the top 5.
If this wasn't the freaking night map, I would have killed this guy. Like, can you see that guy? I can't. Is what it is.
UAV overhead.
All right. So I talked about earlier having that green ping.
Enemy UAV is on.
Having that green ping now tells me that I can park my car right here and be safe. If I didn't have that green ping, I'd be like, I think it's safe. You know what I'm saying? Just something to think about. Okay. But as I do that, I want you to pay attention to how I park my car. Park my car this way to protect myself from everything over here. Because I know that there's literally like 2 or 3 players that all are trying to rotate in right now. Right? Just based off of the information from earlier, we saw 2 people on our map and we heard snow footsteps below us. So park my car here to block myself from everything over here. Right? That way I can look this way without having to think about the left. Which actually possibly ends up saving my life here. See a guy rotating right to left. Wasn't able to get the kill. I thought about using my cluster here. Really thought about using my cluster there, but I wanted to make sure, I use the cluster to give myself positioning and not a kill. I think that's where some people make a mistake is like, I like to use the cluster not for kills. If like a precision airstrike is better for kills. I like to use the cluster as sound cover, as visual cover, and it also lasts longer, like the boom, boom, boom. A lot of times in an end game that can be, great piece of cover for you to rotate with.
Gas is closing in.
Just like we said earlier, there was a guy in this building. Well, obviously we shot at him too. Now the zone has pulled, right? The zone has narrowed down. Now I need to figure out exactly where I want to go. So I put myself in a little bit of cover here so I can look at my map. Where should you be thinking about going? Right? Like this is probably the final circle. More likely than not. It can get smaller and like finish smaller. But where do I want to be thinking about going? Like I said earlier, we got a little bit of cover here, but I would end up being on the high ground and everyone else would be able to see me. So that's not really a good piece of cover there. We have this little piece of cover. But other than that, all I have is my car, right? And so I choose to go over here. I know that that's where I want to end the game up. Now, obviously, I have to possibly go through this and this on the way over. But that's the choice I make. There's not a lot of great cover there. And so that's kind of why I stare at that for a second, because I really want to make sure I get it right. But the advantage I have is I have a car and nobody else does. Okay, so 2 things I want to point out. We got a guy right here. I'm going to remember that for later. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Like, if you just look up at the minimap, it's pretty obvious if there's a building in the end game that there's going to be somebody in it. We also know there's somebody close to us. So I kind of put myself on the outside of the building. I'm listening. I hear him crawling around. Bust through the door to make sure he's not in this corner or up here. Now I see the tracer or the tracker. Now I know he's in this corner, right? All I need to do from here is get first shots, track better, play aggressive, pre-fire. What I'm going to do here is throw my impact grenade to not only get first shots, but also cover up his vision and just make noise. That way I can chow this pretty safely. Right? Like, he's going to have a big explosion on his screen. He's going to hear it in his ears. He's going to take damage. All of those things give me a lot better chances to win this gunfight. Slide out, pre-fire, start with hip fire. Now, what do I need to worry about? Just got out of this gunfight. What do I need to worry about? We know this guy's getting squeezed out by the gas, right? We know that he knows he has to rotate. He might think he could get a cheeky third party here. So I immediately shut this door.
Don't let up now.
I shoulder a little bit. Tried to shut the door.
LDR ready for launch.
Now I know I can put some pressure on him. Use my cluster.
UAV standing by.
Because there was a UAV on the ground, I was like, all right, I'm gonna burn my cluster. I know we talked earlier about using the cluster for rotation, but in this case, I knew that we only had one other guy left, right? If there was like 3 to 4 to 5 guys left in this small circle, I'd rather have my cluster. But because there's only one other guy left after the guy I killed, I can use the cluster to force him out, which will then allow me to turn this into a 1v1. Also, the UAV on the ground, you know, that makes it a little bit sweeter, right? Because then once I get that kill, I can then just pop my UAV, figure out where the guy's at.
Tossing smoke.
Now, I don't know where the last person is exactly. I can kind of guess, but I don't want to get sniped here, so I burn one of my smokes to get in the car. And then I put myself on the position that I wanted, right? Like, think about how good of a position I put myself in here. And I'm not saying that to like gas myself up. I'm just saying, like, think about it actually. Put myself on a little bit of rock. I use the left side of my car for cover. Whoever else is in this zone is basically screwed. Like, basically. You know what I'm saying? But as we're turning this way to use the car for cover, I actually end up seeing the guy right here. So now I know it's GG. I don't need to put myself over there. I just want to make sure this guy is pinned down.
Dropping ammo
Hostile
here.
UAV in the area.
Taking fire over here.
Know where he's at. Center our crosshair. Get first shots. Track better. If you guys enjoyed this, if you learned how to approach your fights, appreciate if you leave a like. Make sure you subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.